Hello, this is Diné here, your time management expert, and I wanted to talk to you about me being late. When it comes to time management, being habitually late is something that can really affect your schedule. The goal is to be on time as you move from one activity to next. You want to be able to keep your schedule in such a way that the time doesn't roll over into the next activity, lessening the amount of time that you had allocated for one event or activity, and just messing up the whole timeline for how you had planned for your day to go. So setting the intention is wonderful. So in my case, my intention is to be on time, and I could set an intention as much as I want. There's more work to be done besides just the intention part. It's about figuring out what techniques, or maybe even looking further into the subconscious in regards to why I'm being late, and then utilizing the techniques that'll help you to reprogram the subconscious. That I was about to go to an event. I had about an hour before I needed to leave the house, so I started to get ready. But as I was getting ready, I noticed that I had thoughts like, okay, these are the things I need to do. I need to take a shower, I need to eat, need to make sure the kids are ready and set before I leave. But the thoughts kept coming back. Okay, you need to do these things so that way you're not late. You need to do these things because you know that you tend to be late. You need to do these things because you don't want to be late. And why do I seem like I'm always late? Being late seems to be a thing for me. I hate being late. I don't want to get there late, but I need to do these things because I'm going to wind up being late if I don't do these things. And everything was around late, just being late. And I noticed myself having these thoughts, and the thoughts of just being late, and repeatedly saying that in my mind. So then I said, Diné, what are you doing? Wait a minute, Diné, what are you doing? And I noticed that the word late kept coming up in my head. And that is a familiar thing to have that dialogue in my head when I'm about to go somewhere. So I paused for a second and I said, no, we need to change this around. So as I paused, I said, well, Diné, what thought do you want to have? What do you want to be saying? What in your mind? What dialogue do you want to have? And so I thought about it for a second and I thought, you know what? I need to be saying, I'm going to get there on time. I need to do these things so I can get there early. I need to work on these things and you're going to get there early. We just need to get these things done. You're going to get there early, but you just need to get these things done. And so I found myself starting to change the dialogue. And as I was doing it, there was like this internal fight. So after a while doing it, the thoughts came in after maybe like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. A thought started coming in like, why are you doing this? You know you're probably going to be late. You know you're probably going to be late. Why are you lying to yourself? Because you tend to be late. And then again, I had to pause. No, we're going to get there early. We have enough time. We're going to get there early. And I felt this mental back and forth dialogue in my mind. I felt like there was a part of me that was fighting another part of me. Like, sure, being there early is something that serves me. I'll get there early. And these are the things I was telling myself. You'll get there early. You'll have time to relax before the event starts. You won't feel rushed. You'll feel less anxious. And it's funny because I didn't even realize I was feeling anxious until I started having this dialogue. And the more that I interrupted myself from saying, no, late is not the word that you want to be using. You don't want to keep repeating that in your head. The more that I interrupted those thoughts, then the more I started feeling relaxed as I started chanting the new message in my head, which is, you have enough time. Just get these things done so you can get there early and you'll have time to relax and you'll feel happier that you got there early because you didn't miss any part of the event. And as I started chanting that, I noticed that my energy shifted. I became more relaxed. And I didn't even realize that there was a shift in energy until I noticed and paid attention to how I was feeling before. And it's funny because all the times that I had that dialogue when I was running late, I never paid attention to what I was feeling. And it's not until I started feeling something different that the previous feeling became apparent. So I decided, okay, although I was struggling initially, I was going to stick to my new mantra. And so again, I started feeling relaxed, and I noticed that getting ready was less stressful. And again, when I mentioned before about the anxiety, there was no anxiety attached with the new message, the new chanting of you're going to get there early, you're going to have time to relax, you're going to be happy that you're there on time. I realized that it was more than what I was chanting. It was a certain feeling, because it's a mind-body connection. You change one, you change your thoughts, you change what's in your mind, and the feelings would, as a result, change as well. So, long story short, I wind up being on time for the event, which in my head initially, like I said, I had enough time where if I wanted to be there on time, I could, because I did. But I realized that I was probably late to a lot of events because the anxiety was probably keeping me from getting prepared in an effective way. For me, I think the pattern interrupt worked really good because I did it in the midst of the activity, as opposed to the night before saying, okay, you know what, you have this event tomorrow, you want to make sure that you're there on time. So try to have positive thoughts. I don't think doing it then would have had as much of an impact as it did when I implemented the positive talk while I was having the negative talk, meaning interrupting the negative talk in the moment with the message, the new message that I wanted to give myself. And so being able to have that interrupt in the midst of it, that had an effect on this technique playing out or lasting for me in events that came up after that day. Because now I tend to be mindful of my thoughts. Because I did the reprogramming then with that event, then it affected later events. It became instilled in my subconscious mind. And so it was more automatic for me to have those positive messages in my mind later on. For habits that are not too ingrained or have some sort of emotional component or underlying issue behind why you have that habit, then doing a technique like this may be helpful. Sometimes it doesn't work if there is a deep subconscious attachment or reasoning behind why you're having that behavior. One of the things about the subconscious mind is it doesn't understand the phrases that you say. It keys in on certain words. So if I'm just saying late, then my energy is going to be around lateness. It's not going to say, think about, don't want to be, and automatically flip things so that way early becomes the energy for you. So that's why it's important to state things in a positive form when you're talking to the subconscious, because it is going to look for the key word in your phrases. The subconscious and the conscious, they talk differently. So when you're repeatedly saying things to yourself, be careful and be mindful that the words that you're using is the positive word related to whatever you want your mind to conceive. So we have to be really mindful. We have to be really mindful of the messages that we are saying. Sometimes we don't even realize it becomes such a habit to talk a certain way or to feel a certain way that we don't realize that it's so ingrained in us until the shift happens. But again, it's really being in tune with the body and the mind because they work together. So obviously being late, that was a subconscious habit. It was a habit and the thoughts around it was something that I wasn't even aware of. Um, Again, I just caught myself not even with the intention of trying to make a change in that moment. I just noticed it. But understanding how the mind works, I knew that the negative talking wasn't serving me. I had an opportunity to make a change to what I was thinking, and I took that opportunity. I made it a self-awareness exercise for myself. And the unknown anxiety feeling that I was having was actually hindering me wanting to go to certain events at times. And it was probably because subconsciously I knew those feelings would come up, the anxious feeling. It's not as stressful when I need to go out, so I wind up going out more now. And it's one less stressful moment that I have in my day. I figured this is something that you may want to try, and you can let me know how it went for you. I would appreciate knowing that this changing up the interrupting the dialogue that you tend to have around just negative thoughts. For me, the experience was with being late. But if there's something that maybe you feel like you can try this on for yourself, then I would encourage you to try it and see how this pattern interrupt is, I guess, what it's called, how this pattern interrupt works for you. So I thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.